Silence is frequently drowned out by the noise generated by our thoughts, words, and actions. We often find ourselves engaged in constant conversation, texting, or social media posting, filling our lives with ceaseless chatter. Nevertheless, Buddhist wisdom reminds us that silence can be profoundly transformative and not just valuable, but also vital in certain situations. Buddhism teaches us to recognize the power of silence and to employ it judiciously, especially in 5 critical scenarios. This exploration of Buddhist spiritual teachings will lead us on a journey to comprehend the importance of maintaining silence in these situations. These teachings offer profound insights that can inspire us to lead lives that are more mindful, harmonious, and purposeful. Let's delve into these ancient pearls of wisdom, embracing the tranquility of silence and seeking solutions to life's challenges. First and foremost, the significance of silence. Silence is not merely the absence of noise, it represents a profound state of being. As the great Vietnamese Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh put it, silence is essential. We need silence just as much as plants need light. Buddhism acknowledges this space and encourages its cultivation in various aspects of life. Silence serves as a gateway to inner peace, mindfulness, and self-awareness. It provides us with an opportunity to listen, not only to the external world, but more importantly, to the whispers of our hearts and minds. It is a powerful tool that can transform how we engage with the world and navigate life's challenges. As we embark on this journey through the 5 situations where Buddhism recommends silence, let us remember that silence is not about passivity or indifference. Rather, it is about being present, attuned, and purposeful. Let us explore these situations, grasp their significance, and embrace silence as a source of empowerment. Moving on to the second situation, silence in the face of anger. It is advisable to remain silent when anger arises. Anger is a potent and often destructive emotion. When we allow anger to control us, our words and actions can be driven by this intense emotion, leading to unintended consequences. Buddhism teaches us that anger stems from attachment, aversion, and ignorance. Silence serves as a potent antidote. It grants us the space to pause and reflect on the source of our anger, enabling us to step back and observe our emotional reactions without immediate judgment or expression. Through silence, we can engage in mindful breathing and self-inquiry, gaining insight into the root causes of our anger. Moreover, silence acts as a shield against the harsh words and actions that often accompany anger. It prevents us from causing harm to both others and ourselves. In the restraint of silence, we can safeguard our relationships and foster an atmosphere of tranquility and understanding. Buddhist tradition shares a poignant story of the 2 arrows, illustrating this point beautifully. The first arrow represents the initial pain or suffering we experience when something distressing occurs. The second arrow symbolizes the suffering we inflict on ourselves through our reaction to the first arrow. By practicing silence in the face of anger, we can avoid releasing that second arrow and reduce unnecessary suffering. To truly grasp this teaching, it is crucial to explore the nature of anger itself and why Buddhism advocates silence as the appropriate response. In Buddhism, anger is often viewed as a manifestation of our attachments and aversions. When we strongly desire something or vehemently oppose a situation, anger can emerge as a response to the perceived threat to our desires. Our attachment to our desires blinds us to the interconnectedness of all things and the impermanence of the world. In the presence of anger, silence becomes a sanctuary for self-awareness and reflection. When anger consumes us, our minds become clouded by emotions, and our thoughts tend to be irrational and impulsive. In this state, our words and actions can lead to remorse and harm, both to ourselves and others. Silence allows us to distance ourselves from the immediate intensity of our anger. It acts as a buffer between our emotions and our reactions. Instead of reacting impulsively in the heat of the moment, we can take a breath, grant ourselves a moment of stillness, and observe our anger without passing judgment. This practice is based on mindfulness and self-awareness, which are fundamental aspects of the Eightfold Path. In moments of silence, we can ask ourselves important questions. Why do I feel anger? What am I attached to in this situation? What aversion is fueling this anger? These inquiries can provide profound insights into the underlying causes of our anger. We might discover that our attachments are unrealistic, that our aversions stem from misunderstandings, or that our expectations are contributing to our suffering. Furthermore, silence acts as a shield that safeguards us from the consequences of impulsive words and actions. When we're angry, we might say hurtful things or make decisions we later regret. By choosing silence, we prevent ourselves from causing harm to others and maintain the integrity of our relationships. The story of the two arrows illustrates this concept beautifully. The first arrow represents the initial pain or suffering we encounter when something distressing happens to us. This is an unavoidable part of life. However, the second arrow symbolizes the suffering we inflict on ourselves through our reaction to the first arrow. Responding to the first arrow with anger is like shooting the second arrow, causing unnecessary suffering. By practicing silence in the face of anger, we can learn to handle the first arrow more skillfully. We acknowledge the pain without compounding it with our anger and reactivity. This not only reduces our suffering, but also prevents harm to others, fostering a more compassionate and harmonious environment. Silence in response to anger encourages mindfulness, self-examination, and self-control. It empowers us to transform anger into understanding and compassion. Embracing this teaching allows us to gradually develop emotional resilience and wisdom. The practice of silence in the face of anger doesn't involve suppressing our emotions or denying them. Instead, it invites us to engage with our emotions in a constructive and mindful manner. When we choose silence, we create space for self-reflection and self-compassion. We acknowledge our anger without judgment and observe it with curiosity. This simple act of paying attention to our emotions can be transformative. In addition to self-awareness, silence also enables us to listen more attentively to others. When we're angry, our focus is often solely on our feelings and perspectives. We may become so absorbed in our emotions that we fail to hear what the other person is saying or to empathize with their viewpoint. By opting for silence, we open our hearts and minds to a deeper understanding of the situation and the individuals involved. The power of silence in the face of anger lies in its ability to disrupt the cycle of reactivity. Responding with anger to a situation often triggers a chain reaction of negative emotions and actions. Our anger may provoke defensiveness or counter anger in others, leading to a destructive cycle of conflict. Silence interrupts this pattern and offers an opportunity for a more peaceful and constructive resolution. Ultimately, practicing silence in the face of anger leads to greater emotional balance and equanimity. It empowers us to release grudges and resentments, making space for forgiveness and understanding. By cultivating this practice, we move closer to the ideal of being free from the suffering caused by anger, which is one of the central goals of Buddhism. Point 3. Maintaining silence when confronted with gossip and slander. It is essential always to stay quiet when exposed to gossip and slander. This guidance underscores the significance of being mindful of our speech and understanding the repercussions of engaging in harmful communication. Gossip and slander can be likened to poisonous arrows that can harm not only the subject of discussion, but also the one uttering those words. In Buddhism, the principle of right speech is a fundamental ethical guideline that stresses the importance of speaking truthfully, kindly, and in a way that brings benefit. Gossip and slander go against these principles and can lead to discord and suffering. Opting for silence in the presence of such discourse aligns with the principles of right speech and promotes a more compassionate and harmonious society. Often, gossip and slander stem from negative emotions like jealousy, resentment, or a desire to harm someone's reputation. Participating in such conversations perpetuates negative emotions within ourselves and spreads negativity to others. It can harm relationships, erode trust, and weaken community bonds. Choosing silence serves several purposes in these situations. Firstly, it prevents us from partaking in harmful speech. By refraining from engaging in gossip or slander, we avoid the moral and karmic consequences of speaking falsehoods or causing harm to others. Secondly, silence provides an opportunity to reflect on the intention behind the gossip or slander. Are we engaging in this behavior due to envy, anger, or fear? This self-reflection can serve as a catalyst for personal growth and transformation. Additionally, choosing silence can encourage those involved in gossip to reconsider their words. When we decline to participate in or listen to such discussions, it sends a clear signal that we do not condone such behavior. This non-participation may inspire others to contemplate the impact of their words and may even deter them from continuing with their negative speech. Gossip and slander are prevalent in our society, and their harmful effects are well documented. In Buddhism, these behaviors are considered violations of the principle of right speech, which is one of the components of the Eightfold Path. Right speech entails using our words mindfully and ethically, promoting honesty, kindness, and communication that brings benefit. The prohibition against gossip and slander is rooted in the understanding of the power of words. Words have the ability to shape our reality, influence our emotions, and impact the lives of others. Often, when we engage in gossip or slander, we do so driven by negative emotions such as envy, resentment, or anger. These emotions can cloud our judgment and lead us to utter falsehoods or exaggerate the faults of others. The harm caused by gossip and slander is twofold. Firstly, it harms the individual being talked about. False or unkind words can tarnish their reputation, lead to emotional distress, and strain relationships. Secondly, it harms the person speaking. Engaging in negative speech can generate negative karmic consequences, resulting in suffering in the future. Moreover, it perpetuates negative emotions within the speaker, contributing to their suffering. Opting for silence in the face of gossip and slander is a potent way to break the cycle of negativity. It is an act of non-participation, a refusal to contribute to the spread of harmful words. This not only aligns with the principles of right speech, but also safeguards our own karma and emotional well-being. Silence offers us a moment of pause, a chance to reflect on our intentions. When confronted with gossip or slander, we can question why we feel compelled to engage in such discussions. Is it driven by envy, a desire to feel superior, or the intent to harm someone? This introspection can be transformative as it brings awareness to our own negative emotions and the suffering they bring about. Furthermore, choosing silence can send a powerful message to others. When we decline to partake in harmful speech, it conveys our disapproval of such behavior. Our silence can inspire others to think twice about the impact of their words and may even dissuade them from continuing with their negative speech. In a broader sense, silence in the face of gossip and slander fosters a culture of kindness, respect, and empathy. It encourages us to look beyond the faults and shortcomings of others and focus on their positive qualities. It nurtures understanding and compassion, contributing to the creation of a more harmonious and caring community. The practice of silence in the presence of gossip and slander embodies the Buddhist ideals of right speech and compassion. It empowers us to use our words more mindfully, safeguard our well-being, and contribute to a more positive and harmonious society. Point 4. Silence as a response to conflicts. It is advisable always to remain silent during conflicts. Conflict is an unavoidable aspect of human interactions, but our approach to it can significantly influence its outcome. Buddhism encourages the choice of silence as a response to conflict, emphasizing the role of mindfulness, compassion, and understanding in conflict resolution. Conflicts often emerge from differences in opinions, values, or interests. They can lead to heated arguments, hurtful words, and emotional distress. In such moments, silence can act as a soothing balm, allowing us to step back, reflect, and respond with wisdom and compassion. Silence amidst conflict is not about evading or suppressing our emotions. Rather, it creates a space for active listening, empathy, and the discovery of common ground. By opting for silence, we permit both ourselves and others to express their thoughts without the fear of judgment or escalation. Furthermore, silence enables us to disengage from the cycle of reactivity. When we respond to conflict with anger or defensiveness, we often perpetuate the cycle of negativity. This can make it increasingly challenging to find common ground or reach a resolution. Silence interrupts this cycle, providing a pause that encourages a more measured and considerate response. Conflict is an inherent aspect of human relationships and interactions, whether it involves a disagreement with a family member, a clash with a colleague, or a dispute with a friend. Conflict is a frequent experience. How we approach and navigate conflicts can have a substantial impact on our relationships and personal well-being. In Buddhism, silence is recommended during conflicts for its potential to facilitate a more mindful and compassionate resolution. Certainly, here's the rearranged transcript with commas and full stops. Conflict often arises from differences in opinions, values, or interests. When these differences escalate into arguments, disputes, or even physical confrontations, they can lead to emotional distress, harm to relationships, and negative consequences for all involved parties. Buddhism recognizes that conflicts can be particularly challenging as they stir strong emotions and cloud our judgment. Silence during conflict does not mean avoidance or suppression of our feelings. Instead, it's an intentional choice to create a space for active listening, empathy, and understanding. It is a pause that allows both parties to express themselves without the fear of immediate judgment or escalation. In this space, we can acknowledge our own emotions and reactions, as well as those of the other party. Silence in conflict serves as a powerful tool for active listening, a skill that is often overlooked but vital for effective communication. When we are silent, we can fully focus on what the other person is saying. We can hear their words, understand their perspective, and empathize with their feelings. This compassionate listening can de-escalate the situation and pave the way for a more constructive dialogue. Moreover, silence offers an opportunity for self-reflection. In the heat of conflict, we may become swept up in our emotions, making it difficult to see the bigger picture or consider the long-term consequences of our actions. By choosing silence, we grant ourselves a moment to reflect on the root causes of the conflict, our role in it, and potential solutions. Another aspect of silence in conflict resolution is the prevention of further escalation. When we respond to conflict with anger, defensiveness, or counterattacks, we often perpetuate the cycle of negativity. This can make it increasingly difficult to find common ground or reach a resolution. Silence intervenes in this cycle, offering a pause that encourages a more measured and considerate response. In the practice of silence during conflict, we are encouraged to set aside our own need to be right or to win the argument. Instead, we prioritize the well-being of the relationship and the broader goals of mutual understanding and resolution. This reflects the Buddhist principle of non-attachment, which suggests that our clinging to ego-driven desires can lead to suffering and hinder our path to enlightenment. The power of silence in conflict resolution is evident in its ability to foster empathy, compassion, and compromise. It encourages us to look beyond our immediate emotions and consider the feelings and needs of the other person. By doing so, we create an atmosphere in which both parties can express themselves, find common ground, and work together toward a solution. Silence amid conflict is a practice deeply rooted in the Buddhist principles of mindfulness, compassion, and non-attachment. It is a powerful tool that allows us to navigate conflicts with greater wisdom, empathy, and understanding. By embracing this practice, we contribute to the resolution of conflicts in a way that preserves relationships, minimizes harm, and promotes harmony. Number 5. Silence in times of suffering. Always be silent when you witness the suffering of others. Compassion lies at the heart of Buddhism, and this teaching emphasizes the power of silence as a means to express compassion and offer solace to those who are suffering. When we encounter the suffering of others, our immediate response may be to offer words of comfort or advice. However, Buddhism suggests that in many cases, silence is a more profound and compassionate response. This teaching aligns with the principle of right speech, emphasizing the importance of speaking kindly and beneficially in the face of another person's suffering. Silence can be the kind and most beneficial choice. Silence in times of suffering communicates our presence and empathy. It conveys the message that we are there to support and listen to the person who is suffering. Words, even well-intentioned ones, can sometimes fall short of expressing the depth of our compassion. In contrast, silence creates a space for the suffering individual to share their emotions, thoughts, and experiences in their way and time. It offers a refuge where they can be heard without judgment. In this space of silence, individuals often find solace and support. Silence demonstrates our respect for the individual's autonomy and capacity to navigate their suffering. It recognizes that not all suffering can be alleviated through words or advice. Sometimes, the most significant gift we can offer is our presence and our ability to listen deeply. Silence in times of suffering is deeply rooted in the Buddhist principle of compassion. Compassion is not merely feeling sympathy for others, it is the active desire to alleviate their suffering. In silence, we offer a different form of compassionate presence. We are there to bear witness to the suffering, offering to share in it and to provide a safe and non-judgmental space for the person in need. It's essential to note that silence is not always the answer, and there may be moments when words of comfort or support are appropriate. However, Buddhism encourages us to consider silence as a valid and valuable response to the suffering of others. It reminds us that sometimes the most significant gift we can give is our quiet presence, our empathetic listening, and our willingness to share in the pain of others. Silence in times of our suffering. Always be silent when you are suffering. This teaching acknowledges the importance of self-compassion and self-care during difficult times. It encourages us to turn inward and embrace the healing power of silence in our lives. We all encounter moments of pain, distress, and suffering, whether it's the loss of a loved one, a personal crisis, or a period of emotional turmoil. Suffering is an inescapable part of the human experience. During these times, our natural response may be to seek solace and support from others. However, Buddhism reminds us that there are moments when silence, particularly in our suffering, can be profoundly healing. Silence in times of our suffering offers us a sanctuary for introspection and self-compassion. It provides a space where we can acknowledge our pain without judgment, offering ourselves the same kindness and empathy we might extend to others. In this silence, we can process our emotions, thoughts, and experiences, allowing for healing and growth. Moreover, silence serves as a refuge from the pressure to put on a brave face or to articulate our pain to others. While sharing our suffering with trusted friends or professionals can be essential, there are times when the depths of our pain are beyond words. Silence allows us to be with our suffering without the need to explain, justify, or make sense of it for others. This experience can be liberating as it grants us the freedom to simply be with our pain, to sit in its presence, and to accept it as a part of our current reality. In silence, we can also connect with our inner strength and wisdom. Buddhism teaches that suffering is a part of life and that it can be a source of growth and insight. In the quiet of our hearts and minds, we may discover profound truths about ourselves and the nature of suffering. We can explore the impermanence of all things, recognizing that suffering, like all experiences, is transient. We can also come to understand the interconnectedness of life, realizing that our suffering is not isolated, but part of the human condition. This understanding can be a source of comfort and wisdom. Silence in times of suffering is a practice deeply rooted in self-compassion, self-care, and self-discovery. It allows us to honor our pain without judgment, to find refuge from the pressure to explain, and to connect with our inner strength and wisdom. By embracing this teaching, we create the conditions for healing and personal growth. In summary, the wisdom of Buddhism offers us a profound understanding of the transformative power of silence in 5 crucial situations: anger, gossip and slander, conflict, witnessing the suffering of others, and our suffering. In these moments, silence serves as a source of mindful compassion and personal growth. Silence is not about being passive or indifferent. It is an intentional choice to create space to listen, to reflect, and to respond with wisdom and empathy. It aligns with the principles of right speech, compassion, and non-attachment, as outlined in the Eightfold Path. By always being silent in these 5 situations, we empower ourselves to transform negative emotions, nurture compassion, and foster understanding. We protect our relationships, minimize harm, and contribute to a more harmonious and connected world. By learning to be present, to listen deeply, and to embrace the healing power of silence, we integrate these teachings into our daily existence. We embark on a journey of self-discovery and personal transformation, moving closer to the ideals of Buddhism, which seek to alleviate suffering, cultivate mindfulness, and awaken to the interconnectedness of all beings. In doing so, we not only find solutions to life's problems, but also uncover a path to inner peace and enlightenment. Silence is essential. We need silence just as much as we need air, just as much as plants need light. If our minds are crowded with words and thoughts, there is no space for us in the profound silence of these 5 situations. We discover the space we need to live more mindfully, more compassionately, and more authentically.